On her 18th birthday, Prim Penrose worked to close up shop at her parents' bookshop. The day had been as busy as any other, and she was relieved to finally be on her way home. The walk was pleasant as ever, until in the dark of the night, Prim realized she had been followed by several unsavory-looking fellows. The three men had surrounded her, and before she knew what could be done, she was being attacked. Her coin purse was stolen, and she had been struck several times before a cold reality closed around her. The fear and pain sparked something in her. A coalescence of energy at her feet grew until there was a burst of magic. The flash of power ended with the appearance of a small, black cat with white paws, peering up at her with bright eyes. The sound of the three men falling to the ground, blood running from their ears and eyes, rang hollow in Prim's mind. Overwhelmed with what had just occurred, she could not take the pressure of returning home to her family and had to make the decision to leave town. Taking money from her family's business, she made her way through several towns, job hopping when she could to survive. However, whenever her powers would act up, she would leave in fear of being connected to the murders in her hometown. Years from the original incident, now at the age of 24, she has been staying with an older woman, Peggy, who's a tavern keeper. This old woman took pity on her and has allowed her to stay at her tavern in one of the spare rooms and work there for room and board. She's been staying there for almost a year while having slight hiccups here and there with her magic. Nothing too horrific, but just minor surges every once in a while. This would often startle the customers and cause her to break items in the business, as objects would suddenly move without a warning. This started to affect Peggy's business, and Peggy was not a woman to be messed around with. Peggy decided to force Prim's hand in attending the Merigard Mercenary Academy and to find out why she has these powers and how to control them. Amaranth is a world in recovery. Only a century ago, the people of Amaranth were starved of divine magic, relying on their own ingenuity and the arcane to create and prosper where the gods were missing. But not all was so straightforward. Necromancy and the twisting of life by the weave has run rampant for millennia. The War of the Dead, a co-attempt by a powerful group of necromantic wizards to take over powers in Amaranth, was only barely thwarted, and the scars of those battles still mar the landscape. Skeletons and ghouls, wraiths and walking corpses aimlessly wander, seeking sustenance or the chance to capture a new soul, attacking innocents and towns at random. For centuries, the world was in strife, as all the nations fought together to defeat the threat of undeath, and they were losing. Finally, the fall happened. A great asteroid fell into the crystal ocean, and with it the gods returned. Immediately, they purged the land of the walking dead. Skeletons and zombies immediately destroyed as the lost souls were restored by the patient guiding hands of Croceus. With the return of the gods, the efforts of a group of heroes known as the Wanderers, and the appearance of a group of refugees, the practice of the divine magics were restored, and clerics and paladins of all faiths emerged stronger than ever before. 100 years later, as the landscape has continued its recovery, new and troubling issues arise. A tentative Cold War brews between the naval country of Tridon and the Arcanatech nation of Ceres, and the world watches with bated breath as new and more dangerous threats arise. But our story does not look to these countries or even their problems. In a world filled with stories, Amaranth always has a tale to tell of life and death, of heroes and villains. But not this one. Instead, this story focuses upon a young woman standing just outside the gates of the Merigard's fortress. From what you've heard, the Merigard Academy is unusual. It could be described as a school Though what you might learn there varies so greatly that anyone declaring alumnus might be turned away from academics simply on principle. It's better to be described as a guild, or even a fortress, as it's a castle that was built centuries ago that the fishing town of Farum grew off of like an affectionate mole. It is a guild with a reputation across all of Aurelia, or even all of Amaranth, where the mercenaries who fight for the Marigard are told to be champions, or geniuses, or saviors, or villains. The Marigard is unusual. It is founded within the borders of Aurelia, the gold and green nation of trade and mixed culture, but it swears no fealty. It provides contracts to those who pay for them, with no concern for allegiance or retribution. The one constant is that if you hire Marigard contractors and you do not pay for their service, they will never help you again. And as you stand before it, it's everything you heard it was. Physically, it seems, at least. It's a stout, gray stone keep sentineled by spires, arrow-slit windows and protected battlements remark of a history in the structures. The main keep itself appears only 2 or 3 stories in height, though it looks wider than you can tell from here. Trees and archery butts block your view after a ways. To the sides of a stone path ahead, you see the grounds of the academy are well kept. Flat stretches of grass that appear tended to either by careful hands or maybe grazed by the horses you hear chuffing and pacing within a large stable to your right. Short fences and paddocks weave between high trees, and boulders throughout the grounds to your left, some of which showing signs of wear or practice. Banners of the Marigard hung from high spires flap lazily in the breeze, the sunlight dancing across the crimson fabric. The spires bastion the keep at all corners, and they reach high above the walls with large windows, and within some of them you see flashes of light. Your ears fill with a symphony of effort. The sounds of clashing blades and shouted commands echo from the training yards that you cannot see. Resounding thunder and staccato thumps accompany smoke that rises from the keep, and you witness lights drop from skies in places that doesn't quite seem possible to you. But, as I've said before, it is your story, Prim. What do you do? This is what you see in front of you.
Loading. Okay. I cautiously approach the front door, twiddling my fingers, just uncertain of my surroundings.
Sure. The door looms above you. It is very tall. It's well over 12 feet tall, and you see there are 2 parallel handles. It doesn't seem to be locked.
I at first just knocked on the door.
Okay. You hear just the as the knocking resounds within. And you hear kind of a gruff voice from inside. Hey, come on in, we're open.
I just open the door and just walk right in.
You see, you're looking in this massive lobby. It is as tall as it looks like it would be from the outside, well over 12 feet tall. It's made of wood. See, there's rich mahogany lining the walls, the floor, the ceiling. On the walls, you see all sorts of portraits, painted oil paintings of people, all kinds of different people. What is, looking at your character sheet, what is your passive perception, Prim? So, if you look at your attribute on your character sheet in Foundry, your passive is on the right next to it. It's in lightly gray.
It's 12.
Okay. The only portrait that really stands out to you is that of what looks like a Goliath, a gray, massive mountain of a man, covered in tattoos, and he's wearing a slight smirk. And from here, in the center of the room, you see that it has a simple little placard beneath it that just says Illarad. Ahead of you, at a wide desk, there is a dwarf. He has very long, very slightly grayed brown hair pulled into beads and a very long beard that tucks down over what looks like very fine clothes. He looks like he's wearing nearly formal wear. He has in front of him what looks like a ledger or a very wide book, and he currently is scrawling in it. And he doesn't look up as you enter, but he does say, "I'll be with you in just a moment." You do?
I just say, all right, sounds good, in his dwarvish tongue.
Oh, you reply in Dwarvish. Okay. He kind of glances up at that, and he just kind of tilts his head with a smirk and says, "Polite of you." But he continues working. You have the opportunity to do anything you'd like to here. You can investigate something. You can look around. You
Yeah.
can leave the room.
I'd like to look at the portrait more, I guess, if that caught my eye, just to see if, I guess, I don't know, if
Sure.
I know more about it.
Sure, you approach the portrait and you look at it. And you see that is, as I described, an image of a Goliath who has a cheeky smile. And as you get closer, you see that the placard is incomplete, or at least from what you saw. It says, Illarad, Blade of the Mountain. And then below it says, Fighter Instructor.
Uh, I guess I just wait around and I just kind of look at the other portraits and
Okay,
just try to bind up my time until I'm service.
no problem. As you're looking around, you see various other faces that look as though they are also other instructors. And at a glance, you see there is what looks like a half-elven woman who looks very serious. She's very properly dressed. She has a very stern look about her. And it says her name is Amela Dorn, sorcery instructor. Next to that, you see the portrait of, you swear, is a dragon. It looks as though it's maybe bronze or brass colored, and it has very bright green eyes. And you think it's smiling, but it's really hard to tell with a dragon. But it just says below that, Tabernacle, wizard instructor. And as you're reading that, the dwarf at the counter looks up and says, "Right, thank you for your patience. How can I help you?"
Uh, Hi.
Hello.
I'm here to, I guess, just figure out what's going on with me. I seem to just have these magical surges out of nowhere, and it's just causing too much trouble where I'm from.
Right.
I was sent here just to find some knowledge.
Okay, no problem. You see he's like looking down at the ledger, and he begins like shuffling through pages, and he says, "I don't have any notice that you're. Are you here on any official, or is this?"
No, I was just instructed that maybe this academy could give me some aid.
Right, okay, all right. He kind of closes the book with a and looks at you. Okay, what's your name? What's your name, girl?
Prim Penborn.
Well, Prim, I'm Persh, and it's a pleasure. Where are you from? You can just say I tell him where I'm from. You don't have to remember anything. Or you can lie, or you can make something up.
I'd like to lie and say I'm from the closest town.
Okay. If you're trying to convince him, roll a deception check.
Okay. Oh.
A 13. He kind of looks at you and he says, "Siren's Reach, eh? All right. You get the feeling maybe he didn't buy it, but he's accepting it. And he says, okay. Well, might be we can have someone come and look at you. Do you know if you're intending to enlist?
I guess whatever helps me gain knowledge.
Great.
I really have nowhere else to go.
Okay. No problem. And you see he leans down and he like gathers up a small box that you've never seen before. And on it he pulls up this blue crystal and he touches it to his lips and he says, Emila, could you maybe come to the front? I have someone with unusual powers who doesn't understand where they came from. Great. No word ahead. Well, it's not my problem. Just get down here and find out. And then he puts the box down and says, the sorcery instructor will be with you in just a moment. Go ahead and have a seat, and she will see what's what. And you wait a moment before, as described, a woman who looks like this. If you mouse over this portrait, you can see what she looks like.
Oh.
She appears in the room, coming from the right-hand side, and she says, Hello, yes, you're the one looking for aid.
Yes, that would be me.
Fantastic. All right, what's your name?
Prim.
Prim. All right, Emila. I'm Emila. Let's have a look at you, shall we? And she like ushers for you to sit down on the bench.
I just quickly sit down, just wanting to obey everything.
Yeah, for sure. She pulls out a wand and she begins casting a spell. Are you trained in Arcana? Which means, do you have a little check mark next to Arcana on your character? Okay. You have no idea what she's doing. She appears to be doing something magical as her hands float in a very airy way, and then you see almost like her eyes change color briefly as she's looking at you, and she says, and how old were you when your magical powers manifested?
When I was just turning into adulthood.
Okay, that's pretty typical. And would you say they were a minor manifestation, a major one? Were just some flowers appear, or did you blow something up, that sort of thing?
I would say it was pretty major.
Okay, no problem. I just need a hint of blood. That's all I require.
I just hold out my hand warily.
Yeah, she basically reaches over it and she brushes her hand over yours, and you feel this tiniest pinprick as she performs a minor spell. You don't know what it is, and suddenly you are bleeding a little bit. And as she gathers it up, she like holds it between your hands and you see it floating between them, and she's I cannot help you, but I know someone who can. And you see she stands up rather in a hurry. All of this has been very rushed. Like, this whole thing took like 30 seconds. And she goes up to the counter and she leans against it and she says, Persh, this is one of Elise's children. And Persh says, all right, I'll get her out here. You're thank you very much. And Amila turns and looks at you and she says, it's been very nice to meet you, Prim. I wish you the best of luck. And then she just fucking leaves. Persh looks up and says, I apologize for the hastiness of that. Do you know what a warlock is?
I guess I probably would, right?
Roll a history. It's a DC 10.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. You know what a warlock is. You're aware it's someone who gets magical power from a patron. Persh goes on to say, Elise is our warlock instructor, and she'll be the one best suited to help you.
Right. I mean, is there something terrible that I should know
No,
about?
no, 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 no.
Or-
It's
Okay.
nothing like that. It's just, Amala handles those who are born with the magic, and Elise handles those that acquire it through upper means.
Okay.
You're a warlock, if you didn't know.
Oh, okay.
No,
Oh,
perhaps I'm the wrong person to be breaking this to you. One, and he picks up the box again and says, Elias, I have a fresh off the pan one, if you wouldn't mind. No, Emma already look at her. Aye, thank you. And he puts the box away. She'll be down in just... Wow, wrong voice. She'll be down in just a moment. And
okay.
this time the pause is even longer as you're stuck in this lobby. And while this is happening, you see a number of people suddenly emerge from the right-hand hallway. You see a very tall half-orc man wearing what looks like plate armor, and he has a greatsword slung over his back, and with him is a very bright-eyed, blonde-haired dwarf who has like a massive mace hanging from her belt. And next to them, you see this woman whose skin is blue. You're pretty sure that's an air genasi. And they stop by Persh, and you can hear them having a quiet conversation. Do you want to listen in?
Yes.
Roll perception. With a 6? Okay. You basically hear the louder words that come out. You hear words like, that free agency, eh? And then another moment passes, and then you hear, I don't want to go to the... And then that's shut up as the half-orc puts their hand over the dwarf's woman's mouth. And then there's some more quiet conversation. And then the Air Genasi woman peeps up and says, Hi, that'll be just fine. We'll be here right on time then. And then Persh seems to hand them something you can't really see, and then the three turn, and they begin to head out. But the Air Genasi woman looks at you, and she just kind of gives you a smile and a wave.
I smile and wave.
She looks like this.
Ooh. I smile and wave back at her.
As they head out the door, suddenly, a drow woman, a white-haired, gray-skinned woman in all black. She's wearing so much black, she's actually like what looks like got a veil and long black clothes, long sleeves that run over her hands, a dress that actually drags on the floor. She suddenly appears around the left-hand side, and she looks like this. And she sees you, and she says, Hello there. I hear you are in need of my help.
I just stare at her, speechless, my heart pounding, just anxious and nervous and terrified.
She holds up a hand and she says, There's no need to fear. We will get you sorted once we learn who has become interested in you. But I do need to know. Do you intend to enroll here and study underneath me?
Yes, I suppose I don't have any other place to go.
Perfect. And do you happen to have the 100 gold tuition that is required? Out of character, you totally do.
Mm-hmm. I just fumble in my belongings and just gather up.
She holds up her hand and says, That's all right. You will hand that to Mr. White. First, you must properly enroll. And she gestures to Persh at the desk. And she says, Persh, would you be so kind as to prepare our new student? And Persh, right, all right. He pulls out another ledger with a thuds it down on the table and says, "Just sign here." He's talking to you.
Uh, I just sign wherever he indicates.
Do you sign your full name?
Uh, I sign Prim P.
Okay. As you sign it, he looks at it and closes it and says, "Right, you're going to head down to the right here into the selections room where you will choose your course of learning. Naturally, that'll likely be Warlock, as Elise will be your instructor, but you do have to go through the motions and have a conversation with Maxwell White." And he is pointing to a door that you see off to your right.
Okay, I nod and say thank you in Dwarvish, and then I head over to the door.
You hear behind you, he turns to Elise and says, "You see that? Mora could do kindly in speaking in a man's own language. It's truly polite of them." And you hear Elise just say, "Yes, I'm very pleased for you, Persh. I'm sure she will fit in very well." The selections room, which is a door marked placidly as selections, you open it up and you are looking into a large room that has a massive table on the far end of the room. It is absolutely laden with weapons and arms and bags and equipment. This is where you got your starting equipment, which is what you have on your character. But you see that all the classes have a set of equipment laid out for each of their students, and the Warlock class shows a bag with all sorts of implements and weapons and components and things like that, the sort of things that you got in your starting equipment pouch. It also comes with a very nice and well-made pack that is embroidered and inlaid with the Marigard, basically colors, which is red and gold, but it's not garish. It's just lin around the edges. And as you step in and look at it, you hear from your side, "Well, hello there."
I turn and look at the voice.
Yeah, you see a human man who is wearing very dark leathers, and his feet are kicked up on a pedestal. He has a closed book on his lap, and he's looking at you, and he says, "New student, then?"
That would be correct.
"Perfect. Name's Maxwell. I handle selections, so go ahead and choose your course, and then you'll be handing your payment to me."
Okay. I just give him the money and pick the items.
Okay. You
Yeah.
you select the Warlock class. Now, if you want to be a different class, you could do that here. You could choose a different class. But as you choose the Warlock class, Maxwell nods and he opens up the book again, and this time he hands it to you and he says, "Please write your name and your chosen course."
I write down Prim P, and then just write down Warlock, scribble Warlock right next to it hastily.
Perfect. If you'll follow me, I will show you to where your dorm is, and then finally where your classroom is. And he closes the book, sets it on the pedestal, and stands up. Except as he opens the door, you see Elise is like standing right outside the hall, and Maxwell says, "Oh, I suppose you're handling this one then?" And Elise says, "Yes, Mr. White, I will handle it, thank you." And then Maxwell turns and looks at you and says, "Looks like you're in good hands."
I just nod slightly to him and just follow him.
Okay. Elise gestures down the hall to the left, and she leads the way, firstly, to a very ornate. So there are all sorts of doors, and the first thing you notice is they seem awfully close together. way too close together for there to be anything beyond them except a closet. She leads you to a door that has very ornately carved filigree, almost like an a paisley pattern all along the sides. And as she opens the door, you're looking into an empty room that looks like this. It's like a music room, like someone's living room, almost. Why is it not... Hang on. I gotta fix this.
Okay.
There we go. I assume you're still loading?
Yeah.
All right. We'll just wait one moment. But it looks like someone's living room almost. And there's all sorts of seating around tables. And there's a massive, what looks like a rack just full of wine and mirrors. All sorts of different parchments are all over the place. And you can see there are various fine garments hung around corners. And she says, "For us, for warlocks of our kind, magic and those we work for are only part of our study. The most important thing and the most important tool for us is our courtly graces." And she is, like, waiting to see how you react.
I almost just snickered, like, courtly graces. I look down at whatever I'm wearing and just look at myself compared to her.
A problem we will resolve soon enough. Fear not.
Okay. I, I guess do you have any answers or insight as to, I guess, who or is wanting me? I don't. I guess I don't know what's going on.
I believe I can help, yes. Why don't you come with me? And she leads you into the classroom. The first thing she does as you enter is she closes the door, and one thing you know about drow is they don't particularly like daylight. What is odd to you, though, is this room has clear windows that lead out to what looks like almost sunny pastures. It's a little confusing as to how almost dissonant it is, because you're pretty sure this room is like in the middle of the castle, so it doesn't make any sense to you. But Elise doesn't seem bothered as she leads her way over toward one of the fine chairs, grabs a bottle of wine, and gestures that you sit across from her.
I comply.
It is convenient that you arrive when you did, as my other students are out on their own agencies. Please tell me how you learned you had magic. How did it appear?
I just did. It just, I don't know. It was just kind of a rush. It happened when I was in a very troubling, intense situation. I don't really remember much. Just that I was scared.
That is more of a start than you may realize. As the servant of a patron, all of us have to deal with the unknown and trying to solve what it is a patron might want. It can be a struggle, which is why here it is a safe place to try and connect with those patrons. I have with me a mixture developed by our own wizarding instructor who will make it possible, even easier, to speak with your patron. However, it will also make it easier for your patron to speak with you, and not only when you intend them to. Are you all right with that?
I, I guess whatever gives me answers. Am I in danger?
No, no. At least, not likely.
Um,
Whatever it is about you, your willpower, your presence of mind, something has attracted the strength of a patron, and it is our goal to find out who. It could be something as simple as a powerful fae saw you and thought you'd be interesting to imbue magic within. It could be a god, it could be a demon. Either way, it is in their best interest to see that you are well, as they have imbued their magic within you.
okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, yes. I guess I don't know why they would want me in particular. I mean, I don't come from anything.
Well, that doesn't matter. None can be known to a patron's motivations unless that patron tells you themselves. And even then, they might not necessarily be honest. Unless it's a fiend. Devilish patrons tell the truth always.
Um, there was something else about that night. There was a cat. I don't know if it came from the alley, but it seemed to have appeared, and when in my moment of need, I don't know if you know anything about this.
It could be many things. It could be a representation of your patron's presence. It could be an omen. Unless that power emerged from within you, it could be a familiar. A few people have had their magic noticed by the summoning of a familiar they did not intend. This is possible. Likely, it was just a cat. But there's no way to know without testing.
Okay.
Can you describe the circumstance upon which your magic revealed itself?
Um. I was attacked.
A moment of dire stress, then.
Yes.
That's not uncommon. So, would you like to take the red pill, as it were? Burn the incense and commune with your patron?
Um. I. I. I guess I don't really have any other option. I mean,
You could say
I,
no. You always have the option to say no. If you say no, well, we wait. If you decide to continue to study here, I teach you the basics of using magic for which you don't understand the fundamentals, but you'll still know how to use them, and you'll understand how to perform as an agent of the Mare God.
I guess I just need to know. I've been struggling with this for years, and I don't have any answers.
Then
Just,
she pulls a pouch from what looks like it's a tiny little purse on the side of her dress that she suddenly pulls a much larger than it should be pouch out of it, and she pulls an incense rod out and hands it to you. Burn this, inhale the smoke, and reach beyond your own mind to what is beyond, what is listening, and they will hear you.
I follow her instructions.
Okay. Before we go any farther, I want to confirm that you chose who you meant to choose
Yeah.
as your patron. Okay.
Uh, yes. Yes.
You're sure?
Yes.
Okay. Just making sure, because it's not a very nice person.
Oh no.
All right. I need to know what you say in order to reach out to this patron.
guess I don't really know what to say. I'll
Sure.
just kind of just be like, "Hello. Um, I am looking for answers, and I'm hoping you can help."
Okay. Roll me a charisma plus proficiency check. So for you, I believe that's a persuasion. Let me look at your character sheet. Yes, roll a persuasion check for me. And excuse me a moment while I blow my nose. An 18. Okay, this is gonna be weird. You say this. You feel everything around you suddenly still. The room grows darker on your peripheral, as if somebody blew out a candle behind you. And it keeps growing darker. And it's impossible not to feel a tinge of fear as this is happening. Just a hint of it. Until you blink, trying to look around and see what is darkening the room, and you realize you're not in the same room you were just in. You are seated on the same chair, but you're in a room with a number of other chairs that are on opposite sides of the room from you, and there are these great gray stone pillars dividing the room. The room leads up to a throne that is on a raised dais at the far end of the room. You see there is a woman seated atop the throne with long, impossibly long black hair. It seems to wind down past her feet around the throne behind it, and she wears a huge crown that has these brass spikes that curl back over the top of her head. And as you've called out, the woman in the throne, she raises a glass that looks like it's made of bone. And she's looking at it. She's not looking at you, but she says, "I took notice of you."
I just kind of stare at her, just in fear. um, well, why me?
She sips from the cup and then sets it down. And she's smiling as she does it. And she says, "In a word, potential. You have it. And I feel like we could be friends."
Uh, Potential to do what?
That's the question, isn't it? What is it I want? I want you to grow stronger. I want you to become useful. And once you have, I shall give you a task which will make you the most powerful, the most influential. And she finally is like looking directly at you, and she says, "Through me, and I through you, we shall gain influence. What is it that you want, Prim Penrose? Penborn? Penborn." She didn't fuck that up, I did. "What is it you want, Prim Penborn?"
I just want to go back home. I want to stop running.
Then together we shall make you unafraid of anything. And perfectly in control. Does that sound agreeable?
I guess I don't. I just want to be with my family. Like that. I don't know why this is happening. I just want it to stop.
This is happening because I chose you. I, Aktesh, the Shade Queen, chose you, Prim Penborn. You will grow into something to be admired, something your family can be proud of, someone who can change the world, but only if you want it.
Um, yes. Yeah. Yes. I just. Yes. I just want to go back to normal and have a life again.
Darling, you are already normal. Normal is boring. Don't you see? You have access to greatness. Together we will get there.
Okay. Okay.
She.
I don't know where to start.
I'm watching. Don't worry. Our little friend will always help you when you need it. And she picks up the glass again and she says, "Do tell Elise I said hello." We go way back. And as soon as she says that, you are cast out of the vision and you are back in the room with Elise opposite you.
I I just I just let out like a huge just sigh. Just oh.
Are you all right? You're
Uh,
pale as a ghost.
um uh, this woman her name was Aktesh. She
You see Elise's face is like wide-eyed as you say that.
um she just told me that that we're going to be friends and that I'm destined for greatness. I she also said to say hi. I don't know what's going on.
You see Elise is kind of running her fingers over her cheek as she's thinking, and she says, "Ah, well, you've certainly baited a big one. You've never heard of Aktesh? Roll a religion check for me."
Yeah. Let's see.
With a 12, you may have read the name, but you don't know anything about it.
Mhm.
Elise says, "Aktesh, the Shade Queen, is one of the more powerful gods of the dead. She's very strong. And she's very... What's the word I'm looking for? Ambitious. If she chose you... I once had another student who was patroned by Aktesh, which is how she's likely noticed me before. I will say, if power is what you're after, Aktesh is certainly a fountain to draw upon.
I mean, it's not really power I'm looking for. I just want my life back in order. I
Prim,
just want standing.
I have some bad news for you. With some patrons, you likely could have had the semblance of a normal life once again, but with a patron such as Aktesh, one hungry for strength and influence as her, your life is changed, and has been ever since she chose you. She chose you when you became an adult, which is when the event occurred that was your severe pain. Your mind called out, and she answered, whether you knew it or not. Your destiny is not that of normalcy anymore.
Uh, what does she want? I I don't know what I can give her. I
What did she say to you?
just just that I was born for greatness and that she could help me become that, and I don't saying that I'm going to be useful. I don't I don't see how I'm going to be useful. I can't control any of this. I
Well, that's what you're here for. I will be teaching you how to control the magics that she's granted you. What she wants is what every patron wants. She wants you to grow in influence so that one day she can ask of you some duty or task or some errand, and you will be strong enough to complete it. You see, to patrons, particularly a divine patron like yours, an actual goddess, handing out magical power to their followers it's a drop in the bucket, as they say. They can see the greater picture, whereas we cannot. And so, the best you can do is exactly that. Do the best you can. And together, we will show you how to use that magic of yours so you don't hurt anyone you don't want to. And we can talk about your future when everything is a little bit less overwhelming.
okay. Is there any malicious intent with what she wants with me? I What happened to this other student of yours who was her patron? I,
Oh, he's still out there. He is part of a Marigod contracting group that has been performing tasks across the ocean in the floating islands.
I and he's okay.
He has an interesting affinity for raising the dead to do his bidding, particularly with, if I remember, he favored raising the spirits of undead creatures such as hounds to do his bidding. You don't have to go into that if you don't want to, but with a patron such as Aktesh, I imagine your future will be full of quite a few undead in your control, whether you like it or not. So that is a reality I suggest you become comfortable with.
Okay. Um, I don't know. This is all very overwhelming right now.
In a moment, I will show you to your dormitory. But first, I'd like you to think about this the way I've taught every student. What is a sword to you?
Um, a sword is a tool to defend with and just to fight for what you want to achieve.
Of course. And I emphasize, you say it yourself, it is a tool. Your magic can be just the same as a sword. To defend with, as a tool, doesn't have to define you.
Okay,
Now,
that does make me feel a little better.
now, why don't you follow me? And Elise stands and holds a hand out to you.
I take her hand.
She leads the way out of the classroom, and she makes her way down the long halls to the left, farther away from the main doors that you entered in, and you to round a corner, and she opens up a door, and she says, "These are your dormitories. I suggest you select the room on the right, as it is not occupied, and you won't have to share a roommate for now. I can't promise that will be the same in the future, as there are more students every once in a while." And she holds out a key to you.
I take the key and just walk into that room that she suggested.
I'll be in my classroom for the rest of the day if you require, but the rest of the day is yours. Tomorrow, we begin your studies in taming the magic that you are having a difficulty controlling. Today, this evening, perhaps stop by the mess hall and grab yourself something to eat. You've paid tuition for a year, Prim, so best get used to life in Ferrum. I'll always be around if you need advice or aid. And she smiles at you.
Okay. Thank you.
You are welcome.
I mean, you really helped me gain some sort of knowledge. So thank you.
You are not the first forlorn and lost soul to come to me with no idea as to where these magical powers are coming from. And unfortunately, not all patrons like to be so forthcoming. So, I'm glad to be of service. And she nods again and says, "Tomorrow, we start." And then she just kind of taps the door and begins to pull it closed.
Okay.
So, as she leaves and you are in your room, the room itself has what looks like 4 beds that are around a central pillar. The way they're organized is that each bed kind of has its own privacy based on how the pillar is in the middle of the room. And there is a large trunk and a dresser next to each bed. The key that you were given fits the lock in the door and the lock of one of the trunks.
Okay. Um, I want to just start putting away my belongings into the trunk.
Okay. You can totally do that. Is there anything else you'd like to do tonight? You have all of Ferrum to explore if you'd like, or you can try and find something else to do with your time.
I'd I'd like to go check out the mess hall that she was talking about.
Okay.
Just to try to gain my bearings of the facility.
Sure. It is about 2 in the afternoon, so it's basically just after lunch. But as you do head to the mess hall, which is easy to find as you go toward the main lobby, behind Persh there's a wall, and behind that is the mess hall. It's got 2 massive openings around that way. And as you look in the mess hall, there's a smattering of students here and there, eating or studying at one of the tables. The mess hall itself is lined with long tables that run the full length. And on the far wall of the mess hall, you see it is an open stone counter, which behind that is what look like animated armor or automatons. They are constructs that are currently cooking, and you could hear and smell the sounds of their cooking. And on the counter in front of them, you see there are various platters. What looks like bread. The next one looks like it's full of some kind of soup or stew. It's hard to tell from here. And then pitchers and a huge amount of mugs. It looks like you could come in here and get something to eat at any time of day.
I'm feeling a little peckish, so I'd like to try to find something small to eat. You know, like I'm still nervous and rattled from everything, so I don't want to eat anything too big.
Sure. No problem. It's easy enough. There's lots, like, for something small, you could just get a bowl of soup, basically. And it is, as you approach it, it smells amazing. And you realize it is some kind of chicken stew. And if you eat it, you gain 2 temporary hit points, which you can make a note of that.
Oh, okay.
As you sit down to eat your small meal, I'd like you to roll me a d8, please.
Oh, I do it.
Yep. A 3. Okay, hold on. Hold on a second here. As you are eating, there is the sound of the stool being pulled out from the other side of the table, and a human-looking man, kind of human-looking, maybe a little bit, kind of sparkly almost, as he sits down, and you realize it's an Azamar, with long brown hair, sits down, and he kind of rests a quarterstaff against the table as he sits down with his own food, and he looks at you and he says, "Hey there. You're new."
Yeah, just got here today.
Huh.
Name's Prim.
Nice to meet you. I'm Kyo.
Nice to meet you. Just kind of just try to eat the soup, just kind of just still awkward and just not.
Are you trying not to engage with him?
I don't know. I guess I just don't know. I don't know what to really else say to him just
Okay.
at the moment because I'm just rattled
Sure.
from everything.
As you are eating, you kind of hear him set his own spoon down, and he looks at you and says, "So what you here for?"
Just figure out what's going on with me. I just I don't know. I don't know, to be honest. I mean, there's a lot going on right now, and I just kind of just spew. I think like I'm just overwhelmed, and I just need to vent.
Okay, so you start rambling all your shit at this guy.
Yes.
Okay, so the Azamar man seems startled as you just dump everything that happened to you. Um, he doesn't eat, and it seems as though he's being attentive. And as you're looking, he's got like these large beads around his neck, and he kind of toys with them as you're talking. And he says, "Okay, that's a lot. Man, it sounds like you've had a hell of a day."
Yeah, I mean, you can say that. I just, I just, and now I probably sound like I'm a raving lunatic. I don't, I don't know what's going on.
Uh, well, I'm not super experienced with magic coming from other people. Um, I just do my best with what I've got. And he kind of points to his quarterstaff. I just bonk people really fast. Um, but if it helps, I've got a god stuck in my head too.
What, what kind of god do you have?
Uh, she's kind of obsessed with animals.
Oh,
You ever heard of Lilas?
uh,
You can roll a religion. Okay. 11. Yeah, you've heard of Lilas. She's um, the god of forests, beasts, and oceans. Kind of feral, actually. Um, and he says, she tells me things she'd like me to do all the time. I just don't. And she yells at me. I guess it's not really her. It's a deva, as they call it. And he seems indignant as he says it, like this is all bullshit and he doesn't like it. And he looks like this. He's
so she
wearing
just,
long robes and stuff. Oh, what'd you say?
yeah, it's like, so she just tells you what to do and you don't follow it. I mean,
She
is
yells
there
at me.
repercussions?
Is there what?
Any repercussions?
She gives me nightmares. Sometimes.
Okay.
It's really not very nice. Um, I, I come. You heard of the Bronze Water? It's, across the ocean. But, I was the only person in my town born all godly and bullshit. And ever since then, that she's always telling me what I should be doing and what's best for the environment, and that I should really be respecting the. It's really just not worth your time.
No. I wanna hear. I don't know. I haven't met many people who hear gods, or so I'd like to learn as much as I can.
Okay. Well, she gives me tasks. Like, she asks me to go uh, talk to someone or go beat someone up for doing something. And I don't like to because I don't know these people. And honestly, a couple
Mhm.
times she's asked me to beat someone up who I really had no business trying to fight. Uh, and then instead of, you know, saying sorry, she just says I could have done better next time. And so I thought maybe if I came here, they could get her to shut up, or at least get me to have an easier time resisting it.
Okay.
But
Um,
honestly, Ariakis hasn't done much for teaching me that. He's just taught me how to control my chi.
your chi?
I'm a it's a monk way of fighting.
Oh,
It's your spiritual energy concentrated is your key, and then it's if you're not part of it, it's a little bit confusing.
Oh, okay. Have you heard anything about Aktesh at all? You
Let me roll in a religion for him. He is proficient. He rolled a natural 1. He
no
says,
no.
"Ah, that sounds really foreign." No, I can't say I have. I'm sorry.
Hey, I just kind of sigh in defeat and
Is that who you got rattling around up there?
yes, more or less.
Well, I hope. I'm sorry I couldn't be of help, but you know, there's lots of people who know things around here, and we could always talk to the cleric instructor. He seems to be the one who knows the most about gods.
Um, what's their name and where would I find them?
Varian Treat is his name, and he's oh, you'd have to ask Persh. I don't remember. Just ask for the
Um,
cleric, or he'll point you to it.
okay. Thank you. Just thank you for listening to me. I'm sorry. I've just had a very
it's,
overwhelming day.
it's your first day. I mean, I remember my first day. It was, well, it wasn't that bad, but it was confusing, and I imagine if you have magic and things going on that you don't know about, it can be terrifying. So,
Have you been here?
a month?
Mm.
Yeah, about a month. I haven't even gone to my first free agency yet.
When does that happen? Or what is this free agency?
Oh, it's so the way I understand it, as you become more and more proficient, you go on missions for the academy, and the free agency ones are the simple ones that are not a big deal if we fuck up because we're learning, you know, on the job sort of thing. And if you're in the warlock course, it's likely you'll probably have to do some. Oh, I have no idea what you do. Maybe something about probably the mayor would have likely issues that you'd solve. Here's everything I know about warlocks is they're good at talking. So, sorry. Your instructor's fine as hell, I will say.
I kind of chuckle.
I hope she didn't hear me say that because she also scares me.
I chuckle and I smile at the comfort of his company and just the conversation.
Sure.
um um I guess I just kind of ask him like um, how does the I guess like what are like the day in day out kind of activities here at the academy? I guess what is it what am I to expect?
Well, this is your first day, so you don't have to do anything right now. But during the week, you're studying every day. You're going to go back to your classroom and do your training, which it might be literally training, and it might be magical training, it might be whatever it is that your instructor deems important to you. For me, that's a lot of physical training and balanced practice and focusing my energies and learning how to control my ki and my chi. It's it's very in depth, and I don't understand most of it, but I'm doing my best. But we have the weekends off, and usually most people just do that on leave at the Merry Guard. That's the tavern just up the street. Uh, or go hit the ship stool down at the docks. Or there's lots to do around Farum if you're not working.
Okay. Any places that you like to visit?
Patty's Cakes. I have a real soft spot for their for their chocolate pie. Otherwise, just drink or go around in the Allend Forest. You know, it's right outside the gates, so and they don't ever stop anybody. It's very nice out there.
Okay.
You could try and earn coin as well if you need it.
Uh, I guess would you ever be open to? You said there's a lot of studying. I'm all right. I'm used to a lot of reading, so I'm like, if you ever wanted to study with someone, would you be open to that? I guess I'm just trying to make as many make friends as much as I can.
Oh, I could use all the help I can get. This cheese stuff goes way over my head most of the time. Honestly, I can't believe Iriakis hasn't kicked me out yet. There's a few other monk students as well, though they seem to pick it up faster than I do. Have you met any of the other warlock students yet?
No, I don't believe so. I mean, I haven't met anyone that looked similar to like Elise, so I'm assuming
Oh,
they all
I
kind of
think
look like
Elias
that.
is one of a kind.
Oh,
I'm sure you'll find him soon enough, though. At least for certain tomorrow.
um,
Oh, don't be late. The instructors hate it when you're late.
okay. Um, is there like a map of the academy that I can look at, or
Nope.
I guess is there someone that can give me a tour?
Well, if Maxwell didn't do it, you could go ask him for one now. But usually after you choose your course, he shows you around the place, and there's no map, not really. It's kind of a big U.
Okay.
Most people just ask Persh where the hell to go, and he gets grumpy and then tells you.
Hmm, okay. Um, I guess I finish up my meal, like
Which
just
is,
during the
it's cold
conversation.
by now. Like,
Oh, okay, yeah.
because if you dumped everything on this guy, you were here for like a good hour, just talking it all out.
Um, yeah. I just eat up the food and I just say like I'm sure I took up enough of your time already. Just thank you for the conversation.
Oh, it's been a pleasure. Nice to meet you, Prim.
Um, so then I'll just get up and I'll go try to find the the dwarven guy that he was talking about. I forgot the name already.
Persh.
Yes, Persh.
Yeah. Persh is right outside. He's literally like he's at the main desk, right outside the main hall. So as you leave the mess hall, you see Persh at his desk.
Um, I just ask him if he knows where like that guy is that I can get a tour from.
Maxwell,
Um,
he should have given you right. You just go in the selections room,
okay,
and ask him to show you around, and he'll do it.
okay, okay. Um, I make my way over to the selections room and I approach him and uh, just ask him for a tour if he has the time available.
Maxwell looks up from his book. It's actually a novel he's reading, and he says, "Aye, I'm not doing anything worthwhile. I can show you around, no problem. Did everything work out all right with you and Elise?"
You could say that.
Well,
Um,
I hope so. I hate to see a new student lost already.
um, I guess I ask him if there's like any rooms or like buildings that I need to know about in particular that I'll frequent.
If you need study material and you stop by the wizard's classroom, make sure you don't take anything out, as Tabernac does not like it when people take books out of his classroom.
And Tabernac is the dragon guy?
Right, yeah, everyone seems to know that. He's Brass Dragon in charge of the wizarding classes.
Okay.
Next, if you happen to stop by the artificing room, be careful, as Widget knows what she's doing, but things tend to explode anyway. So just be ready for that. If you go in there, be ready to duck.
Okay.
Other than that, I mean, you're pretty much your free run of the academy. Just make sure you're at your classes on time. And if you have free time, you can explore as you like.
Okay. Thank you.
Alright, and follow me. I'll show you around.
Okay.
So Maxwell is going to show you basically the layout of the Merryguard Academy, which means that your character now knows how to get to all these places.
Okay.
There is no map, quote unquote, of the Merryguard Academy because, for a few reasons. One, it's really hard to have interdimensional rooms on a map and it make any sense. Two, there's so many rooms in the Merryguard Academy that to build that would take me a long time. So that's why it's generally just, you want to go to this room, you can go to this room, and we orchestrate that through theater of mind. I am good at making maps, but I am not that good. Anyway, it takes like a good half an hour to walk through the length of the Merryguard Academy and see all of the classrooms. But you do, and you get at least an idea as to who the instructor is of each one, until finally you stop by the cleric's classroom, where you see looks a lot like a temple, with various shrines all across the far side of the room. But the close side of the room has bookshelves upon bookshelves full of tomes. You see there is that same dwarven woman with blonde hair and bright blue eyes that you saw earlier, who's wearing chainmail with a huge mace hanging from her belt. You see there are a couple other students in there as well. What looks like must be a human, and that must be a kobold? But the instructor who's standing in front of them is a wizened old human man with hair that is salt and pepper. And he looks up as you two look in and he says, "Oi, can I help you two?"
Hi, I see that there's a lot of tomes here. I'm wondering if you have any information on Ektesh.
Aye? Are you a new student?
Yes.
Alright. He kind of looks at Maxwell, who just nods, and Maxwell leaves. And the cleric instructor gestures for you to approach, and he turns to the other students and says, "Right. Go on, find yourself something to do, maggots. I got shit. Move on." And the three students just kind of look surprised and startled, but they do go find other things to do. The cleric instructor gestures for you to come over toward one of the bookshelves, and he pulls down a large tome. You see on the front of that tome is a huge white skeletal hand grasping what looks like a star, a 5-pointed star. And he kind of shuffles the book open and says, "Right, Aktash, what you looking to know?"
I guess anything I can about her.
Let's see. Ascended in the year 650. She was once the ruler of Silitok. An ascended god, do you know what that means?
I guess what I
Are you proficient in religion?
knew.
Then no, you have no idea.
Okay. No, I don't.
An ascendant god is simply a person who was risen to godhood by their actions, deeds, the sort of thing that, countless people sang the praises of Aktesh, the Shade Queen. Ooh. He's like reading it. And she earned her place among the stars. Renowned for her knowledge in necromancy, on death, and study of magic. Tends to act in self-interest. Her portfolio includes that of many... Oh, I'm not going to read all that.
Yeah,
It's just...
disconnected.
You got disconnected?
Yeah, sorry.
It's okay. What was the last thing you heard?
I said I have no idea what ascension was.
Okay, I'll start there.
Oh,
Ascension,
sorry.
it's no big deal. Ascension for godhood means that you, as a person, were raised to godhood by your deeds, worshipped by people, renowned across the land, and therefore earned your place amongst the stars. There's a few gods who hold that title. Aktesh is one of them. Likely through fear, it seems. She's renowned for her knowledge of undeath, necromancy, and magical learning. Oh, I'm not reading all that. That's just a shitload of battles that she's mentioned in. Right. God of necromancy, really?
Oh, okay. I guess is she evil? Is she?
She acts in self-interest, I'd say. I wouldn't call her benevolent. Here, you can... And he hands you the tome. You can look through this at your leisure. I just need it back within a week.
Okay. Yeah, I take the tome from him and I look at is there like a nearby sitting place or should I go back to my room?
Oh, this place is full of chairs. It's...
Okay.
You
All
sit
right.
down and read through it?
Yep.
Okay. This means that you have advantage on checks to recall information about Aktesh, so long as you have the book in your hands, and once you've read the book enough, you'll have that, just period. But as a summary, Aktesh is a neutral evil god of necromancy, and not everything she does is evil, but she seems to act in self-interest.
Okay.
What seems to be most important to her is knowledge.
Okay. Is there like anything specific that she's like striving for, or is it just knowledge in general?
You're not going to glean her ambitions from a book about
Okay.
her. You're just going to learn like what she did when she was a person
Okay.
and what her portfolio seems to be as a deity.
Okay. Um. Guess I'm stumped on what to do next.
Well, as we approach the hour and a half mark, this would be a good spot to stop if you'd like to.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
That was Prim Penborn's first day at the Merigard Academy. What did you think?
I liked it.
Good.
I'm still like nervous. Like I know like I'm like it's obvious I'm very, very new.
That's okay to be new. It's all right to be just starting, honestly. I think this is the best way to learn how to play a class literally from the ground up. Like, it's basically anything you want to explore, you can, and you'll learn how the character works by doing that.
Okay.
And this is basically how the sessions are going to go, except I'm going to skip some time at certain places when there's a good moment for it. And your character is going to be going on like different, what they call free agencies, where you go on like a mission and you'll randomly have an assortment of companions to go with you, so you're not doing it alone.
Okay.
Just to make things easier, and those are the NPCs I was mentioning. So, who knows? Kyo could be one.
That's exciting.
I'm glad you had fun. Do you have any feedback or anything you're concerned about or anything that you thought could go better next time?
No. I'm just really excited. I think this is gonna be really cool.
Good. Right now, I just have you for the one session. Do you want to schedule more, or do you want to just do it week by week?
I want to just for like financial sake, I just want to
Oh,
maybe
I'm
stick to like once a month.
okay. All right. So then your next one will be in a month, Friday the 6th
Okay.
of January. 6th of January. Does that sound good?
Yeah, I will do that. I start for like scheduling purposes, I start my new job on the 9th, so it's going to be strictly during like school time hours. I'll essentially be just working with kids in the school.
Okay. Well,
And
there's no problem
yeah.
because because it's just me and you. My schedule is pretty
Yeah.
open, so when you're available to play is when
Okay.
we'll do it.
Okay, yeah. I mean, like the Friday evenings will always typically work best.
Awesome. That's good
Yeah.
for me. All right. In that
Yeah.
case, I recorded this and it will go up to YouTube as soon as possible.